Today on the Tiger Lacrosse Report, we'll preview the Tigers' games against St. Joseph's and the #1 Stony Brook Seawolves. Get ready, fans. The Tiger Lacrosse Report starts now. Hello again, fans, and welcome to the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Ben Rosenbaum. Two big games on tap for the Tigers this week as they start a very long road trip in Philadelphia against St. Joseph's on Wednesday, and then on Saturday up in Stony Brook to take on the Seawolves. As always, I'm joined by head coach Sonia LaMonica. Coach, welcome back.
Good morning.
So, St. Joseph's starts off this very long road trip, 3-3. They're a good shooting team.
Yeah.
A lot of goals, 75% of their shots on goals. Your defense has to come with it to in that contest.
Yeah, this is going to be a great contest for us. A new opponent on our schedule, so we don't have much experience in competing against these guys or any at all. So it's going to be a new, fun, exciting experience for us. And yeah, a chance to get on the road with our team and see if we're up for the challenge, which I'm confident we are.
Something interesting about them, as good as a shooting team as they are, they're averaging over 14 goals a game. Free positions have not been their friend this year. They are only 20%. They're 6 for 30.
Yeah.
That is something that really has to have you looking at, well, they're great on offense, but they don't capitalize on their free positions. Is there any way you capitalize on that?
Yeah, I noticed that stat too, but you just can't read into too much. I mean, you can see stuff on film. Teams, obviously, they're seeing those things on film too, and they are identifying areas that they want to build on, and you just never know. Emphasis is put on that, and then they end up coming out and doing really well in that category. Right. So, for us, it's, again, just keeping it simple. It's going to be important for us to, play a solid defensive game. This is a group offensively that they've shown they're dynamic. They interchange quite a bit offensively. They're not sort of set in their hot zones based on their particular personnel. So we have to be ready to do it together as a team defensively and limit getting their shots on cage for sure, because they are good shooters. And
not to look over St. Joseph's, but it kind of gears you up for that Stony Brook game because you're going from one very talented offense to another very talented offense. So in a way, do you try to use that St. Joseph's game as a way to rev yourself up defensively for that contest in Stony Brook?
I wouldn't say I consciously think about it that way, but I'm sure, no question. Again, we have these quick turnarounds, which, there are challenges that come with that, but there are also positives. Again, we've got to sort of stay fluid. We've got to, get better each game, but we got to move on. And sometimes, when you overthink things and you be too much focused on certain areas, you can kind of bang your head against a wall a little bit. So sometimes just shrugging off, shaking off and moving on, as we did from Loyola to Coastal Carolina, is a good thing. But, again, for us, we need to execute just the little things well, and we're really focusing on limiting our unforced errors, something that we had, a lot more than I'd like to see us have in our last game. And it's important that we bring our best to the table. It doesn't really matter whether your opponent is ranked 1 in the country or unranked at all. We've got to kind of be consistent on our level and our quality and not play up or down to our opponents. We got to always play up as high as we can. So that's the focus going into this game, and certainly, as I told the team, that the elephant in the room, we can't look forward. We haven't earned the right to look to this weekend yet. Right. We've got to make sure that our conversations, our focus are all around us and this Wednesday's game for sure.
And then so after Wednesday, obviously now having to look ahead for purposes of the show.
Sure. Okay, Ben, I'll give you that.
To Stony Brook. They're good. They're 5-0, #1 in the country. A lot of big wins. Common opponent, Michigan.
Yeah.
Going into that game, though, it's almost compared to like a tournament game or a senior day game. How do you manage those emotions pregame to make sure they don't get too wild up?
Yeah.
pregame and then come out flat once it's game time?
Yeah, it starts with us as coaches, myself, our coaching staff, and obviously our captains in that locker room talk. I'm leaning on them to make sure that they're holding. Well, they're setting the example first and foremost, and that they're holding their team accountable. And it's everybody's just got to do their part and understand that we've got to put all our focus into the task at hand. So whether that's for right now, looking at Wednesday, and probably more importantly, we're looking at today's practice. Our film and scout session. We're not really looking to game time just yet. But, for when we get on the road, there'll be excitement because, we have a great contingent of New York players on the team, and it'll be exciting to spend some time closer to where they come from. And I've no doubt that we'll have a great cheering contingent at that contest as well. So it should be a really fun, exciting atmosphere. But you're right, keeping emotions in check and just staying focused, getting in that zone is, what we're aiming to do. And it's reminders, it's our routines, that we don't get outside of our routines, that we stay consistent. And I think that's the best way to set ourselves up for, executing and having success.
Their opponents this year, their 5 games, have combined for 35 goals total this season. That's not a big number through 5 games. Your offense is certainly one that can put up big numbers.
Yeah.
Do you almost challenge your offensive unit to be, hey, no one else has been able to put up a lot of goals on these guys yet? Go out and do it. Go do what everyone thinks is impossible so far.
Yeah, maybe we will challenge them with that, because of coming from Ben. But yeah, I think it will be an outstanding challenge for our team. I think they're up for the challenge. I think we're developing quite a little rivalry against Stony Brook, and certainly last year, getting stung by them in the beginning of the year when, similar to Loyola, we had our opportunities. I'm sure that there will be an inner motivation and fire and hunger without me having to put much emphasis on that whatsoever from our girls. So that's just going to be natural. But yeah, again, like I said, we can't afford to look anywhere near Stony Brook right now. We've got to take care of business and be ready to compete against a great St. Joseph's team.
All right. And Towson will start off against St. Joseph on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, followed by their game at Stony Brook on Saturday at 5. For how to follow along, make sure you keep it right here on TowsonTigers.com. For head coach Sonia LaMonica, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us, and as always, go Tigers.